story of the SU-152 does not begin with an ambitious plan or a visionary concept. It begins with a problem, an emergency, and an impressive engineering feat that, in just 25 days, brought forth one of the most feared weapons of the Second World War out of nothing. Welcome to this gripping journey through technology, tactics, and tragedy. The situation on the Eastern Front, Operation Uranus and the turning point at Stalingrad. In late autumn of 1942, the Red Army found itself at a critical juncture. At Stalingrad, it launched Operation Uranus, a massive encirclement battle designed to trap the German Sixth Army. What looked on paper like a masterpiece of Soviet war planning became, in practice, a nightmare of street fighting, winter chaos, and technological shortcomings. The fighting devolved into brutal close combat with heavy casualties on both sides. The major challenge: Soviet units encountered new German armored vehicles, including the infamous Tiger, the Mobile Panther, and later the Ferdinand, later renamed Elephant. These vehicles outclassed Soviet tanks in firepower, armor, and range. The previously used 76mm guns were simply no longer adequate to effectively counter these threats. A weapon from nothing, the rapid development of the SU-152. The Soviets had to improvise, quickly and effectively. Out of this emergency came the Object 236 project, later known as the SU-152. The concept: take the chassis of the existing KV-1S tank, mount the already available 152mm ML-20 howitzer on top, and build a self-propelled gun that was both mobile and destructive. In just 25 days, the first prototype was created, a speed record even by Soviet standards. The construction was pragmatic, using available parts, a simple design, and minimal development time. Only 4 months passed from the idea to the start of production. In the following 10 months, around 700 units were produced. Technical specs: a moving gun house. The SU-152 was not a traditional tank. It was an assault gun, designed for use against fortifications and in urban environments. Its centerpiece was the 152mm ML-20 howitzer, which fired 2-piece ammunition with a total weight of about 50 kilograms. The high-explosive shell carried about 6 kilograms of TNT, enough to destroy bunkers, buildings, or enemy vehicles with a single hit. However, its rate of fire was only about 2 rounds per minute. This was due to the 2-part ammunition, limited space inside, and the strain on the crew. A total of 20 shells could be carried. The armor was solid for the time, but not exceptional. 65 to 75 millimeters sloped at the front, 60 millimeters on the sides, and just 30 millimeters at the rear. Against German 88mm guns, especially the L-71, this was insufficient. Trial by fire, the Battle of Kursk. The SU-152 saw its first major test in the Battle of Kursk in July 1943. 12 SU-152s were integrated into newly formed independent artillery regiments, whose crews were often only hastily trained. On July 6, 1943, they encountered the new German Ferdinand tank destroyers. These behemoths weighed 70 tons and had frontal armor of 200 millimeters. Yet at just 800 meters, an SU-152 struck a Ferdinand with a high-explosive round and immediately disabled it. The shell didn't penetrate the armor, but the blast and fragmentation were enough to kill the crew and neutralize the vehicle. There are documented cases of a Panzer IV being knocked over by a single hit. The effect was so devastating that the nickname Zveroboy, Beast Slayer, emerged. A nod to the SU-152's ability to destroy even the most heavily armored German beasts. Limits of the giant. Tactical challenges. Despite its impressive firepower, the SU-152 had significant drawbacks. It was slow, cumbersome, had a low rate of fire, and lacked precision at long range. German tank destroyers like the Jagd Panther or Elephant had better optics, higher muzzle velocity, and faster reload times. In a direct open-field duel, the SU-152 was often at a disadvantage. Therefore, its tactical role was adjusted. Instead of leading the attack, it operated from the second line, about 200 meters behind the infantry. From there, it could respond flexibly and destroy large targets surgically. In urban combat, it was nearly unbeatable. No need for prolonged infantry assaults. One shot, and the enemy-held building was gone. Daily life inside, fighting from a sardine can. The SU-152's interior was extremely cramped. The five-man crew, driver, gunner, loader, breach operator, and commander, worked shoulder to shoulder in a space that also stored ammunition and the fuel tank. A major risk: fuel and shells were stored next to each other. A hit could cause catastrophic explosions. Even exiting the vehicle was complicated. The driver could only get out if the gun was turned left, and the breech moved aside. Initially, the SU-152 had no machine gun. The crew defended themselves with PPSH submachine guns and hand grenades. Later, a 12.7mm DSAK machine gun was mounted on the roof, useful against infantry, light vehicles, and aircraft alike. ISU-152, the evolutionary successor. The SU-152's weaknesses led to the development of the ISU-152, based on the more modern IS tank chassis. Frontal armor was increased to up to 100mm, the suspension was reinforced, and the overall design improved. The weapon remained the same, but the ISU-152 could now participate more directly in combat, advance more securely, and in combination with infantry assault teams, snipers, and flamethrower units, clear entire urban blocks. Later variants like Object 246 were equipped with high-performance weapons like the BL-8, capable of penetrating 200mm of armor at 2,000 meters. The ISU-152 was produced until 1947. A total of around 4,000 units were built. The departure of an icon. With the war's end, military doctrine shifted. Assault guns like the SU and ISU-152 were replaced by main battle tanks, which combined mobility, protection, and firepower. Today, self-propelled guns are used mainly for indirect fire, not direct confrontation. Still, the SU-152 remains a symbol of Soviet engineering under pressure, of effective improvisation in times of crisis, and of firepower capable of shaking even the greatest beasts of the Third Reich. What do you think of the SU-152? Did it earn its reputation as a beast slayer? Let us know in the comments, leave a like if you enjoyed the story, and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating episodes from military history.